Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break.
It's time to work on becoming an actor with David Sarcusa. David started his acting, screenwriting, and movie production career in 2021, producing his first full-length feature film, which he wrote, produced, and starred in The Uncivil War, America Divided, within a year of entering the business. And he's the host of Becoming an Actor on the TAN Talk Radio Network. Now, here's your local, not yet famous, not quite Hollywood star, David Sarcusa.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
Good evening. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Becoming an Actor on the TAN Talk Radio Network on 1340 AM and 106.1 FM. I'm your host, David Syracuse, and I'm going to walk you through the crazy process of how I first became an actor and all the little secrets and pitfalls. Certainly have been a few that I have gone through along the way. Why the show? Because I was driving back from LA from a set, and I had been on a friend's show, Devin Pappas. I believe she's on Thursdays. She is on Thursdays, right? At 4 p.m.?
Thursdays 4 to 5. That's Be Local Buzz.
There you go. You know that one.
Of course I do.
And she had me on her show, and I started thinking, wow, there is so much stuff that I wish I had known before I got on set. And I can't go through all of it with you, but to me, I think it's important because there were so many people that I met on set, and they were just so awesome. They said, let me give you some advice. How about this? How about that? Everybody shares with each other. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could share with each other prior to getting on set? So that's kind of why I started thinking about it. As I was driving back from LA, I thought there's so many things that I could talk about with the whole process of kind of how I've gone about becoming an actor. And I definitely don't think I've done it in the best way. But the funny thing is, I don't think there is a best way. It really just depends on, your personal situation. For me, I'm retired business owner. I've owned a couple of different businesses. I was a high school teacher at one point. I surprised my kids by telling them that the other day. They had no idea. And so I've had lots of other jobs. So this, for me, I hate to say is a hobby because I take it as serious as a job, but it can be a hobby because I don't need to make money from it. So my situation is really, really different from a lot of the traditional starving actors out there that And a lot of my friends, I talk to them all the time, and they are starving actors. They're saying, it's really tough. Now, a lot of them also are younger than me by 20, 30 years. And so they're in a different stage of life. I was a starving sales rep after I was a starving teacher. So I'm just in a different phase of my life, so I can give a little different perspective to the whole process, but it still is a perspective that talks about the business of acting. And you hear some podcasts talk about it today, but not enough, because a lot of the podcasts talk about the really important stuff, which is how to become a better actor, the different acting styles out there, things to help you get the audition, how to nail it, how to act properly when you're on set. And that's all great. And I talk about that as well, but I talk about it less from the technical aspect because I didn't go to school to become an actor. I was busy running my other companies and teaching. So I'm talking about it more from the business side because you need both. You need to learn how to be a great actor, but then you also have to promote yourself because you could be the best actor in the world. And if no one ever sees you on TV or in the movies, who cares? I mean, that's great if you're that dialed in as an actor and you just care about your craft and all you want is to be the greatest actor and you just want your 3 friends and your family members to see you. That's great. More power to you. But if you want to get out there and actually be in movies or TV commercials or shows that are seen, then you have to have the business side as well. So that's why I do it. Hopefully this helps in some way. Please feel free to call in at any time. Let's talk about something acting related. Give me a ring, 727-441-3000. You can call in to talk about anything. Today's show is going to be kind of interesting because I'm going to talk about actors having to kiss on screen. And I didn't think this was a big deal. Honestly, I did not really think that it would be an issue, but I found out that for many people, it is an issue. And of course, in real life, hopefully you get a spouse or you get a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever it is, and you find someone and that's your person. But in acting, you get all sorts of different partners, because one night you're in a movie that you're shooting with this particular actress, and then 3 weeks later you're on set with another actress. Obviously, there's no emotional commitment there. There's no emotional connection other than what you bring as an actor, but it still is an emotional thing, because as an actor, number one, you have people on the outside who are looking at you, and they have to understand that you're acting, and they do, but still, does that take the emotion out of it? We're going to talk about that today. Also going to talk about some basic tips for everyone, some auditioning tips, and we're going to talk about OIF, the Orlando International Film Festival, because I went to a film festival, my first one.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. I really, I'm going to talk about it in a minute, but I had no desire to go to a film festival originally. I'm talking about going to Sundance just to kind of wander around this year coming up and go see that.
And just to say, for once in your life, you did it.
Well, yeah, but there's more to it. I'm going to get into why there's more to it, because for me, I was kind of going to say, well, I'm going to go see some friends there and I'll go get a picture taken or something. But I found out a lot more to it than just that. So let's get into it with some of the basics here of basic tips, right? So number one, the toughest thing business-wise, any business you're in, it's not personal. Right? I was in sales for many years, 15, 16 years. I'm still in sales. We're always in sales. I was in sales when I was teaching high school, because you have to get the kids to buy into listening to you. So when I was teaching, I was a completely different personality. I taught at Tampa Catholic High School for 7 years, and I had a different persona. They thought I was a very arrogant, egotistical guy, because that was my persona when I got up there. Because when I first started teaching, I came right out of college. I didn't know anything. So I thought I had to give this blustery attitude so they would think I knew what I was talking about, whether I did or I didn't. And to me, it worked. It was a good persona for teaching, but it was funny the way they looked at me, because I don't think that's my personality. Maybe I am that way, but I don't think of myself that way. But it's all about selling yourself, and it's not personal. You have to get out there and you have to audition. You have to audition. Then you have to go audition, and then you have to find some more things to audition for. And you are going to get no. And then you're going to get some more that say no, before you get some yeses. That is sales 101. I was very confident in myself when I started out in acting, and I said, I'm great in front of the camera. I'm very natural. I'm relaxed. I can do this, just kind of like the radio thing. I'll do the radio. Sure, I can get on the radio. I can talk forever. They'll have to shut me up at the end of the show. And what I found is there are a lot of other people out there that are very comfortable in front of the camera, but they've been doing it a lot longer than I have. So they've picked up some tricks of the trade. So you have to audition a lot. You have to be prepared to hear no, because even if you are a natural, the big thing that I've learned is a lot of the times you just might not look like the part they're looking for. You might not sound like that part. Yes.
I was going to say, because that pretty much answers my next question, because I've heard stories from other people that go to auditions and say everybody's looking for a specific type, and there's could be 5,000 guys that show up that look like you.
Absolutely. And I've had people tell me, oh, no, you know what, Dave, you actually, you've got a very exotic look. You look like you could really fit a lot of different parts, but not many people look like you, blah, blah, blah. And it's all great. But at the end of the day, even if you have a distinctive look, there are still people out there that look like you. You're still not going to look like the parts that someone needs. You're going to get typecast, maybe, whatever it might be. You have to keep auditioning, because you might give one heck of an incredible audition. You're just not what they want. So it's It's very interesting because it does come down to a numbers game. I remember in sales, I used to write down little slashes for every call I made. If someone answered the phone, I would circle it. And if I got a yes, then I would put a little check mark through it. I remember it to these days. I'd do 100 calls a day. Auditioning, you've got to do the same thing. Make sure you are auditioning. I don't care what you're auditioning for. A student film, your friend's child down the street wants to make a home movie. I don't care what it is. Audition, audition, audition. You will get better for doing it, and then get feedback from people if you can. Why didn't you go with me? Why did you go with me? What did you like about it? Try to get as much feedback as possible. All right, we've got Chris from Nashville on line 1. Chris, what's happening?
David, what's up, brother?
I had a feeling I knew who Chris from Nashville was. I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Good, dude. Good. I was just calling in to say hello and show my support for the show.
You are the best. One of the best DPs out there. Great director of photography. If you want to see his work, hopefully you're going to get to see it really soon on the Uncivil War, America Divided. His trailer is out there for our movie, and it is spectacular. So I appreciate you calling in. Chris, tell me, have you ever experienced, because I haven't gotten into it yet, but I'm going to be talking about it later. Have you ever experienced a situation where you've had actors on set that had to kiss, where either they did a good job of making it very natural and relaxed, or just the opposite, had an issue with it?
Yeah, I think one of the most uncomfortable times was when the director was married to the lead actress, and then he had to basically coach her on kissing the other male lead. That was fun and interesting. But then there's always times too where we had on one film we had an actress who was gonna or supposed to kiss the lead male, and then she sort of like backed out and wanted more money to do so. And so it's sort of like, yeah, it's almost like you want contracts, like especially if you're executive producing, want contracts to like help protect that and make sure that they're fully understanding of what's supposed to happen. And what their expectations are.
So she wanted more money specifically because she was going to have to kiss on screen.
Yeah, so she was willing to walk away, and then obviously we're halfway through production, and it's a feature film, and then it's like
that's
kind
tough.
of like that situation that you ran into on your previous movie, right? And so like for the person's willing to walk away, and then it screws the whole production, right? So they have a lot of power at that point. Obviously developing a bad name for themselves in the industry, but yeah, sometimes it could be a dicey mess.
Right. Now, prior to her taking that role, did she know that she was going to have to kiss the lead actor?
Yeah, I mean, it was in the script.
See, now that's something I don't get. If you've read the script, if you know what's in there, you know what you're going to have to say, you know what you're going to have to do. If you've got questions about it or concerns about it, in my mind, you have to be professional. You have to address that prior to getting on set, long prior to getting on set, right?
100%. Yeah, 100%. You need to make sure that at least the director and actors, actresses all are understanding and on the same page with expectations, and for pay too, right? Because a lot of times this boils down to pay. Oh, I want more money now, right?
Right.
So, sometimes it just works out, sometimes it doesn't. But again, I've been on multiple productions where, then you're kind of screwed if they walk away.
Yes.
At that moment. And I mean, what does the production do, right? They have to come up with the money, or they have to do lawsuit, and then production gets halted. And then
go
you're like,
back and reshoot all those scenes where tough decision right there. Yeah. So, interesting. Now, and one last question. Did you have an intimacy coordinator on any of those sets?
No, that was sort of like a little, not long time ago, but it was sort of, a few years ago before that whole like intimacy coordinators were really starting to become a thing on set. Yeah. And so, that was before that, but yeah, I mean, obviously intimacy coordinators are worth their weight in gold in terms of just making sure that everyone on set feels safe. Especially, the actors, actresses who are actually doing whatever it is. Right.
Right.
So,
yep. Yeah. I'm going to talk about that later in the show. So I was just curious if you had any contact with that. No pun intended there. But yes, that's a new thing to the industry. So, hey, man, it's always great to hear from you. Thank you so much for calling in, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Everybody.
All right, man.
Thanks.
Take it easy.
Bye.
All right. So, the only really bad thing about Chris McKechnie is that he moved to Nashville, Tennessee. So I don't know what he was thinking there. Go Gators. But Florida is the best place. And I waited till he got off because he was going to complain about the heat, because I know he does that. But the heat is wonderful in Florida. So, all right. Well, that's fantastic. That's a great call from Chris. Thank you so much. So let's get back to some of the tips. So don't forget, audition. Hold yourself to a set number of auditions. I don't care if you say you need 8 auditions a week and you want to try and get 3 callbacks and land 1 role, whatever it is, try to give yourself something. If it's too big a goal after 1 or 2 months, you realize you can't hit that goal, dial it back a little bit and make it something that you can do. The worst thing you want to do is set goals that you can't reach. Don't make them unreachable, because you're just going to make yourself miserable. And be careful at looking at social media. It's funny. I've had people tell me, "Oh my God, you're amazing. You're killing it. I'm seeing all these things you're doing right now." And it's been at times when I felt amazingly slow. And I was like, I haven't done anything recently. It's so funny that you're thinking that. But they're seeing the 1 or 2 posts from me, and then they see posts from everyone else, and they say, "Wow, everybody in the world's busy except for me." That is not always the case. Try and just take a deep breath when you look at other actors and actresses' Facebook or Instagram or wherever they're putting stuff up. And number 1, just try to set your expectations to be realistic. And number 2, if you know some of those actors or actresses, reach out to them, especially here in Florida. I always say this because I know Florida. I love Florida. I was just giving Chris a hard time about it. I have found that the acting community here is so helpful. Pick up the phone and call someone. I will call Iris Cookie Reyes. She's got 3 names. Cookie, I'll just call you Cookie. My business partner, Cookie. I will call Kylie. There's lots of people that I will pick up the phone and I will call at the drop of a hat, because they're such amazing people. I'll call Lexi. I'll call Melissa Coles. I'll call whoever I feel like at the moment. I just, either I need an inspirational moment, or I need to talk to someone. I feel like I'm struggling, or maybe I see they're doing something great. I'll pick up the phone. I'll call Luke Reether. And it's not always that I'm saying, "Hey, can you help me?" or something. Sometimes it's good just to call someone and talk to them. First of all, they should be your friends. Don't just call them because you're using them to get ahead in the world. They should be your friends. You should want to talk to them. But a lot of the times, just talking to people really helps you. Even if you don't talk about, "Hey, are you landing any jobs right now?" You just talk to them and you just start to feel better. It just helps you to relax a little bit, and something always seems to come out of it. Some good. If not for you, for them. And then you've helped somebody else. And number 1, you get a good feeling out of that. But number 2, maybe they help you down the road. Because again, everybody's trying to help everybody in this industry, I feel like. All right, how to audition. This is kind of funny. I was talking with somebody on set, and she was telling me, I can't even remember who this was that I was talking to. Very, very nice lady. Everybody's nice in this business. And she said, "Oh, I spend so much time because I learn my lines for every audition." And I said, "What? What?" Now, first of all, I couldn't do that. I can barely learn my lines for the movies I'm actually in. I ad-lib so much. It's horrible because I'm terrible. That's my worst part. That's the worst thing for me, is memorizing the lines. So here is a tip for you. If you're like me, if you don't do very well memorizing your lines and you're trying to send in multiple auditions, multiple sides every week, especially if it's like backstage or you're sending something to Facebook and it's not a Zoom call or something, use a teleprompter app. These are great. They're fantastic. You can set the size of the font. You can set the speed. So you don't have to memorize it. You just put the lines in there. You're looking directly at the phone. They can't tell that you're reading it.
A teleprompter app's actually a thing?
A teleprompter app is a very awesome thing.
All right.
I use it for all of my auditions. I'm staring right at the phone. Now, every now and then you have to look away because the scene calls for it.
Or look up.
To look up or something. So you might have to know that, okay, this line's coming up, but then you look back and then you're doing the line again. It is fantastic.
And it's amazing how far technology's come, not only just in general, but in the film and television world over the last 20, 30 years.
Absolutely.
It's changed completely from when you and I were kids. We're not that far apart in age.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. And so, yeah, it really is amazing because it helps you to get through so many more auditions. And like I said, when you're first starting out, you need to audition. If you're trying to memorize lines for each one that you send in, that could take you a long time. You might only go through 1 or 2 auditions a day when you could be going through 5 or 6. So look at a teleprompter app. They're free. You can upgrade to some if you want. I just use the free ones. They work fantastic. Always keep your phone horizontal. Pretty much everyone that asks for you to send your audition in will tell you that. So that's not that great of a tip, but I threw it out there just in case, because when you're first starting out, I don't know if when you're doing whatever, my kids laughed at me the other day for saying vines or whatever, but if you're on TikTok or whatever, if you're supposed to hold it horizontal or vertical, but for auditioning, you always go horizontal with it. Use a backdrop. This is really an interesting one to me. So I just got on an app called Castability, and this is another app that I would recommend to people. I don't know if they have a free one. I'm doing one. It's a couple of bucks a month, 10, 20 bucks a month, something like that. To me, this is kind of worth it. You get 2 auditions a month. So you go on there and you look at some scripts that they have, and it's really awesome. You basically just click on the script that you want to do. They will have a reader on there that prompts you, and then you say your lines, then they say theirs, then you say yours, and then you send it in. And they grade you against 5 people in your group. Well, I've only gotten 1 grade back. And again, a little dose of humility. I got 2 out of 5. And 2 is not second place in this case. So that would have been not so bad. But the nice thing is you can go back and you can watch the winners. Well, I went back and I watched the winner in my group. Now, I'm not a professional casting director, so maybe I'm missing something, but I looked at his and I looked at mine, and I did not see much difference. I thought mine was as good as his, maybe a little worse, maybe a little better. I basically thought I was there. I did not see a huge difference. I looked at our facial expressions, our movements, our tone of voice. There was one thing, though, that I noticed in every video. I did not use a green backdrop. I did not use a backdrop. Every single winner on the app had a backdrop. So you better believe I went and I pulled my backdrop out. And I will be using it for all future auditions, because when I send in my auditions at this point, my sides, I've never used backdrops. I just set up wherever I am. I've got my little office, and I've got a backdrop of some closet doors behind me. And I thought, okay, whatever. It's not distracting. It's just closet doors. I think professional appearance makes a huge difference. So I'm very curious to see. Now I'm going to start adding in a backdrop. I'm curious to see if my ranking goes up. If not, apparently I'm just not a very good actor or I don't audition very well. But I'm very curious to see if it makes a difference. I love testing those things out, but I love Castability because, again, this is stuff that I never would have thought about, that a backdrop might make that big of a difference, but maybe it does. And so by looking at other people, you see what the winner did versus what you did. But I can really look at it and I can say, well, you know, my vocal wasn't very different than his. My movements were not very different. Maybe he did a different hand gesture or something, but it wasn't very big, the differences. So to me, I'm going to go back and I'm going to tweak something and see if I can make a difference and see if that changes my rankings. Okay. From my bestie, Kylie, a free tip: get a headshot while you're on set. I love that, because if you're new to the business, resources are limited. We talk about that all the time because this could cost a lot of money, this industry. Resources are limited. While you're on set, see if you can get a headshot. You've got a lot of BTS. You've got a lot of behind the scenes photographers there. You get people with screenshots from the film. Everyone's willing to help you out. And especially a lot of the times, if you're on set and you're doing a favor to someone, you're doing a student film and you're working for free. Hey, if you're working for free, try and get what you can out of it. If they've got a good photographer on set, really great camera, they've got backdrops, see if you can get some professional headshots done. While on my set, gentleman I talk about on here a lot, Bronson Taylor, Byron in my movie. Great actor, fantastic guy. He got a call while he was on set and they said, send us your headshots. He looked at me and said, oh my God, my headshots right now are terrible. God, I got to get new headshots. And I said, Dave King, he's our photographer. He's right there. Ask Dave. Dave will do it for you. Dave's a great guy. And sure enough, Bronson goes over and he talks to Dave and says, hey, do you mind? Dave says, yeah, I don't care. He took 50 headshots for him. I know because he copied me on it. I'm like, I don't need all these headshots of Bronson, but I got them. And Bronson used those headshots to send in for that role. Now, Bronson was going to go get professional headshots, but why spend the money? Dave was willing to do it right there. So to me, use the resources that you can. It makes a lot of sense. She also came up with a great tip for getting your reels done. Work with other newbies. There's other people out there who probably don't have sizzle reels themselves. I actually talked with my buddy Patrick Quinn about this. I said, hey, let's do a reel at some point. We'll just get a local director, someone that we know, we like. We'll get one or two other actors in the area and we'll just shoot a little scene. You can use that for your sizzle reel because he's new to the industry and he's saying, well, I got to get on set so I can get my sizzle reel, my audition reel. And I said, no, we'll figure something out because like I talked about last week, if you get on set and you get a great sizzle reel, it might take you a year, 2 years before you get that to show anyone. So use the resources that you can. All right, man, I'm exhausted already. Let's take a break right now for a segment that I like to call set terminology. Don't look like a fool. So film industry, all sorts of jargon to it. I do this every week. Let's talk about some of the terms that you might hear on set so you don't get confused when you're out there because nobody likes to, when someone, when the director yells something or like Chris, my director of photography, the DP who just called in says, I need something on set. Even if you're not responsible for going to get it or have anything to do with it, you want to know what they're talking about, right? So today we're going to talk about lighting. You know why? Because lighting is so important to a set. And I've mentioned this before. I love that. Everything is so important to the set. I was just talking with Kylie and she was talking about her film and she said, oh, the sound, we had this issue and that is, sound is so important. The lighting is so important. Everything is so important to the set. So producers, just so you know out there, a hint for you, everything is important. If anybody tells you something is not important on set, it's because they don't want you to worry about it until later and they want you to spend money on what they consider is important at that moment. And later on, they'll tell you, no, that really actually is important. Let's spend money on it now. So everything's important. So lighting though, in all seriousness, huge on set. Chris, who called in earlier, his favorite thing to say was, I am God. I control the lighting in your movie, Dave. I will make it happen. And he did. He did a fantastic job with that. So term number one, ambient light, which ambient light, this is probably one that you may know anyway, not just from being on set. If someone refers to an ambient light, that's from a pre-existing source like the sun or the moon. So how do you utilize the ambient light? That's going to be important because that's what Chris talks about when he says, I control the light. And they do it with a number of different things. One of the biggest aspects or one of the biggest puzzle pieces that they use is the bounce board, which is usually just a large whiteboard that they're going to stand there. The grip is going to hold, and they're going to help to move the light around, or maybe a PA, whoever you get to hold that on set. They're going to reflect the light. They come in all sorts They come in all types of sizes. You have circles, squares, big, small, boards, cloth, finished material like sunshades. In fact, I give out sunshades with my logo on it sometimes when I'm on set. And one of my friends sent me a picture of her holding my sunshade, using it as a bounce board for light. So I thought that was great. A chimera, or a softbox, and I hope I'm pronouncing that the right way, otherwise I'm going to make you look like a fool on set. But this is a cloth frame that helps to diffuse light. So you're going to use the bounce board to direct the light, and then you're going to use the softbox, the cloth frame, to diffuse it so you don't have that harsh glare. If I wasn't wearing my hat right now, you'd probably see that glare reflecting off that bald dome of mine. So we use that soft box to help break it up. And again, it comes in all sorts of different sizes. They have the umbrella, which literally looks like an umbrella, and you'll see the light behind it, helps to diffuse it. Strip box. They have the honeycomb. Every now and then you'll see they have the strips of cloth gone either direction. They'll call it a honeycomb. The lantern, the pancake. You'll see those. Sometimes it looks like a giant balloon. Sometimes it's flattened like a pancake. So lots of different ways to diffuse that light. And you would not believe all of the different ways, because they have to keep that light very consistent on you. If you're outside shooting, think about it. You're shooting a movie. We did this in my movie, The Uncivil War, America Divided. We're out there shooting, and this was a big problem for them because we're outside. We're sitting at a cafe. We're at Clear Sky on Cleveland Street, beautiful location, and we're sitting out there, and the sun is moving through the sky. So every now and then, they have to move the bounce boards. They have to move the chimera, the softbox. They have to move all of these different things in order to keep the sun looking exactly the same on Byron, Bronson Taylor, and myself while we're having this discussion. Because you can't have the sun at one point in my face, and then as it moves across, now all of a sudden it's in Bronson's face. It's going to come across odd in the set. So you have to control for that in the movie. Very important. C-stand. C-stand is a metal stand that's used to hold up the lights. Dangerous to move, I think. I think it's one of the most dangerous things on set. I could be completely wrong, but they are big metal things. They've got the lights on them. They're heavy. They're awkward. You've got grips and PAs and everybody else putting the sandbags on them. Whoever's supposed to put it on there, on a bigger set, everybody has their job. Nobody does something that they're not supposed to, but you've got to have those sandbags holding them down because they're dangerous if they fall. And I can't remember, we had one fall on our set. Thank God we had very few accidents on our set. It was a very well-run set, I think. Was my set, so I hope it was. But we did have one accident happen. If you have an 18-day shoot, you're probably going to have one or two things go wrong. You just have to do your best job to make sure it doesn't happen. And if it does happen, you have to make sure that you mitigate the disaster as much as possible. And the last thing we're going to talk about today for terminology is a gel, the film used by lighting professionals to change the colors, to give a different hue to the light. I personally am colorblind, so that makes no difference to me, but it is very, very important. It gets that name of gel because at first, in the old days, they used red wine. They'd hold the red wine in front of the light to kind of give it that change in color. And then they went to a gelatinous substance next, hence you got the name gel. Now they're, of course, super advanced. They don't melt in the heat. You can put every possible color out there. So the gels are used to slide in and out in front of the lights, and they give a different hue to it. All right, so that's our terminology for the week. Let's move on to OIF. I do want to talk about this. I feel so bad. I really wanted to bring in my newspaper from OIF. I got the newspaper specifically so I could have it here today. I really enjoyed the Independent Film Festival in Orlando. I really didn't have a desire previously. Like I was saying earlier to Matt, I never had a desire really to go to one before, but they are fantastic for a lot of reasons. It was great networking. Orlando Independent Film Festival did a fantastic job. They held it at a beautiful hotel, a loft, and then a beautiful facility, Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center. I'm not that familiar with Orlando, but I mean, it was a gorgeous place. And so it's a great chance to promote yourself. Again, it's a business, like I said at the beginning, like I say every week. So get there. It helps you look a little busier. If you're not doing something right now, if you're not on set, this is a good chance to go out and hang out with people, and it gives you a chance to be seen. It makes you look a little busier. Like I said, people say, "Oh, wow, you look so busy." As David Lee Roth said, "I don't feel tardy." It's one of those things. I didn't feel super busy, but people were saying it. So I was doing a good job, apparently, of presenting that. The interesting thing is, while I was at OIF, I realized I have to be treating it more as a business. I was not doing a good job of taking pictures with all the people that I saw there. I saw a lot of great people there. I saw Tony Pallas was a fantastic MC. I saw him run past me. He said, "I got to go rehearse." I said, "Bye, Tony." So I didn't get a chance to take a picture with him. I saw Beja Noel there. She was there for the photographer. I sat in a box with her. Didn't even take a picture with her. Saw Sean Alexander Thompson. He was there for Dream Slasher. Interestingly, he had the same issue as I did with losing lines on a pay-per-play film. That's a very difficult thing. I would love to figure out a way to address that issue. When films get behind, and they always get behind, you can lose scenes, you can lose lines. It's a difficult thing. We both had a great experience with our different films, but, you put a lot into it. You memorize your lines, you work on it, you get amped up for it. It's difficult to lose that stuff and not feel like a little piece of you died inside if you lose a scene or you lose some lines or God forbid, even more than that. Let's see, I did not see Kylie Nicole Peck there because she was not able to make her ride there. She was going to be there for Rowan's story. I saw Heather Fraley. She's a great one that does an amazing job of promoting herself. Again, business, you've got to promote. Emilio Luis Roman, I saw him. He worked on Untitled Pet Project with me. I don't know if they've gotten a name for that yet. I believe. But
Untitled, was, I gotta say though, Untitled Pet Project does actually have kind of a cool ring to it. It sounds like a horror movie.
Yes, except for this was a little kid's movie. Yes.
Okay, then never mind. Please forget I said anything.
Yeah. So I think he was the COVID compliance officer on that one back when we had COVID compliance officers. I don't think we have those anymore. So it was a great event. You can win awards. I haven't won any yet. Of course, I haven't tried yet. So you got to enter into it in order to try and win one. My thought actually for next year was an expo. Expos are huge in the insurance industry. I would love to do an expo next year and combine that with a film festival because you've already got all of those people there. You've got industry people there. They were so big in the insurance world. There would be all sorts of presenters. You'd get to bring people together, distributors and filmmakers and actors. And I know they have them elsewhere, but I would love to do one more independent related. I think that would be fantastic. Anyway, just kind of a thought that was running through my head. Okay, really quick, before I get into kissing, I hope I get to it. I did want to talk to my last segment here. I tend to highlight a local movie every week. This week, I am not highlighting a local movie, but I am highlighting another David Syracuse movie just because I'm in this movie coming up this week. I'm going up to Alabama to shoot this Saturday. So I'm going to talk about this one, Foxglove Candy, Daniel Emery Taylor film shooting in Dora, Alabama. It stars Emma Copenhaver, Gareth Tidball, and Bronwood Kilcrease. And actually, so this is kind of what brought up the entire question about kissing, because I will have to kiss someone on this set. And so it brought some stuff up. So before I get back to that, though, let me tell you a little bit more about the movie. The movie is a comedic horror. It's a triad of vicious vixens that scam and occasionally murder hapless lonely men from the internet. I'm not going to tell you what happens to me in this one. But they run into a nightmarish labyrinth of deception and horror when one attempts to use her wiles on a far more cunning adversary. And normally we show a trailer, but we have not shot anything for this one yet. So you can see there is a trailer on IMDb, but there's only the music to it so far because we haven't shot any of it yet. That doesn't work so well on radio if all you have is the music. So, but you can go on to IMDb and you can look for Foxglove Candy. And if you're not sure if it is the right one, you can look for Daniel, and you will know that, yes, you are at the right spot. So a Daniel Emery Taylor film, Foxglove Candy, and I'm really looking forward to it. But so we will have time to get into the kissing because this is really where it came up. Like I said, on this one, I do have to kiss an actress, and this will be my first time on set kissing someone. And it's my first time in 30 years, other than my wife kissing someone. This is not something that I do on a regular basis. I'm a married guy for the last almost 25 years.
But that's to my point. That actually leads into my question is, how weird is it going from, say, kissing an actress on the set to then going home and, say, kissing your wife?
Well,
does that make things awkward at home, or?
See, I don't think it'll, to me, I'm going to go home and kiss my wife the way I have for 30 years. I don't think that will be. My question for myself personally will it be awkward to go to set and have to kiss someone
that's not her?
That's not my wife, whether I know the actress or I don't know the actress. Now, in this case, I don't know the actress. She's in a different state. I think she's in California. I could be wrong, but I believe Bronwyn is in California. So I feel bad for her because she's going to be on the other side of this. But it was interesting because we started talking about it, and my bestie Kylie said, you can do fake kissing. Where she said, you just kind of rub your noses together and it looks like you're kissing on set, on camera, on TV or in the movies. Now, Cookie, my business partner, said, I'm calling BS on that. When you do that, it always looks fake. Well, honestly, I have no idea what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is when I get there, the director is going to tell me, you're going to do this, and that's what I'm going to do. If it involves actually kissing the actress, then I'm going to kiss the actress because I am a professional. That's my job. My job is to block. If they say aim the knife at the other actor and pretend to stab them, that's what I do. If they say there's an actress, you have to pretend to kiss her. I mean, I will be actually, if they tell me to actually kiss her, I will be actually kissing her, but I'm pretending. There is no emotional connection there. What, Matt?
No, so there is a method to being able to kiss and not having any emotional attachment behind it when you're on set as compared to going home and kissing your wife.
Well, I'll tell you again after I get back next Tuesday because I have not kissed anyone on set. Now, the interesting to me is I reached out to the actress as soon as I found out that was part of the script. And again, going back to what Chris talked about, I knew that was going to be in the script. And so it is, I guess, a moral question. Will you kiss someone on screen? I never really thought of it as a moral question. To me, I thought, well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So I immediately reached out to the actress and said, hey, is this going to be a problem for you? I've never kissed anyone, but just to let you know, I'm happily married for 25 years, been together with her for 30, 2 grown kids, so I heard there will not be an intimacy coordinator on set because honestly, it's just a kiss. She immediately replied back, said, no big deal. I've done this before. It's fine. We're both adults. It's all good. So I said, oh, great. So we talked a little bit after that, and I think it's going to work just fine, right? I always look at it and I say, I use this example because I'm old and I use these examples. Rachel and Ross kissed for years on Friends. I'm pretty sure they did not have a romantic relationship outside the show, but that is part of their job. It's acting. Were they in love? No, they weren't in love, but you had to show it on camera. Everyone in the United States, oh my God, Rachel and Ross kissed. Oh, it's so incredible. Well, two actors had to do that, even though they were not in love. Now, the funny thing is, when I first got into acting, one of my first roles that I got, I was going to be a horrible person. I actually didn't get to do the role because of COVID. But my role was going to be, I was a guy who beat his wife. I abused my daughter. I was actually supposed to be intimate with my daughter's best friend. It was a horrible person. And one of my friends at the time said, "Are you going to take that role?" And I said, "Yeah, why wouldn't I?" She said, "Well, he's such a horrible person." Now, my thing was always, so was Hitler, but people play Hitler on TV. You know, should Heath Ledger not have played the Joker? The Joker was a terrible, horrible person. But everybody loves Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Same thing with Joaquin Phoenix, too, to that point.
Right? I mean, iconic roles. So, Hannibal Lecter is another great one. These are horrible people that do horrible things. But you're an actor. You don't actually do those things.
That shows range, though, and I say this all the time. Like, I go to this as a perfect example of acting range. I look at a guy like Cameron Moynihan. He's one of my favorite actors, and I've known him for two big roles in his career. He played Ian on Shameless, Ian Gallagher.
Okay, yep.
And he played in Gotham what was supposed to be the role of the Joker. He played the Vixer brothers.
Okay, yeah.
And there's times where I was streaming both shows, and then I'd go from Shameless, like I'd watch an episode of Shameless, and then as soon as that was done, I'd go to Gotham. And in the span of like 2 hours watching both shows, I'd see Cameron Moynihan go from Ian to the Joker within the span of like 2 hours, and I'm sitting there watching this. I'm like, that's incredible, showing him going from Ian to pulling a complete 180 and playing a horrible human being in the Joker.
Which the funny thing is, you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, I just watched him here and then I watched him here. Those could have been made 10 years apart.
And there was a couple of years difference between Gotham and Shameless.
I get what you're saying. He played completely different roles.
Yep.
So, and the funny thing is, as I was driving over here, because I always kind of play my show in my head, thinking about what am I going to talk about and how am I going to talk about it. And even as I was talking about this, I said, I can't believe that grown adults would care that much about kissing. But then I started thinking about it. And I thought, is that really a moral question? I mean, is that big a deal? You're going to kiss another consenting adult?
No, you're just doing your job.
You're just doing your job. But then I thought, because I talked to another actor friend and they said, oh, well, I wouldn't do that. But if there was a role that was big enough, then I would do it. And I thought, oh, well, now you're just, you're kind of just selling yourself. Oh, if it's big enough, I'll do it. But then I caught myself and I thought, would I do full frontal nudity? And I thought, no. But then I thought, what if they rolled $10 million up to my front porch and they said, we want you in some huge $1 million budget movie that's going to be in everything throughout the United States and throughout the world, and you're going to become the next whoever, Brad Pitt or Channing Tatum or whatever. And I thought, I wonder if I would say yes to that. So now I thought, I guess I'm selling myself.
But the way I would look at it, though, if that was me, as far as like kissing goes, now I will admit, I'm very happy with my girl. But at the same time, I'm like, if I had a chance to kiss somebody on a TV set and then have it be okay if I'm going to land a bigger role, let's say Lionsgate or a Universal movie, I need to learn how to do this now, so that way if a bigger role comes calling, I'm prepared for it.
That could be too. Yeah. It's
different for everybody.
Yes, it is. It's an interesting quandary. And originally I thought, it's not a quandary. What's the big deal? You kiss someone. But, and Chris and I were talking about this earlier, and I said I was going to come back to it. I did a movie in Tallahassee. It was an FSU film, Harmonious. And in that film, there was we had an intimacy coordinator on set. And to me, I thought, this is kind of goofy. I'm basically putting my hands on this young girl, and that's why we needed the intimacy coordinator. She was a young girl. She's a college student. I'm 51 years old, or was at the time. She's 22, 23. And so I had to put my hands on her hips, and she's wearing a short shirt. So I'm basically putting my hands on her, you could say, in a sexual way. It wasn't. I was just kind of grabbing her. But you never know. Maybe that, for this young actress, is concerning. Now, I talked to her. She didn't care in the least bit. She's like, whatever, it's no big deal. I thought it was kind of funny that we had this intimacy coordinator. They talked about how, okay, now, where can you touch? Where can David Siracusa, actor, touch you on your body? And I said, well, this is ridiculous. The only place I'm putting my hands is on her hips. So what's the big deal? She said, Dave, we have to do this the right way. You need to find out where you're allowed to touch her. So the actress said, okay, you can't touch me here. You can't touch me there. Yes, it's fine to touch me on the hips. And then I guess I'm an eighth grade boy, because I found this funny. She said, we have two things terminology wise, and this is good for the terminology section. You have a gate and you have a fence. So the fence means it can't ever open. You cannot touch me in this spot. There is a fence around this part of my body. Don't ever touch me there, actor David Siracusa, or non-actor David Siracusa, I should say. And I said, okay. So you could probably guess what the gate is. Right now, the gate is closed, but if for some reason in the scene you needed to touch me in this place that right now you are not allowed to, if I give you permission, I can open the gate and then you could touch me there. And so I kind of got a kick out of it. I thought it was funny because, again, there wasn't anything intimate in that particular scene. Aggressive, emotional, whatever you want to call it, scene where there's kissing, there's touching, there's petting, whatever. I understand the need for an intimacy coordinator. In fact, the young actress that I spoke with, who I'm going to be kissing however I do it, whether it's the fake kissing or the real, whatever that is when it comes up, when I spoke to her, she said her very first kissing scene, I believe she said it was theater, and she said she was young at the time. She was in high school, and they said, oh, well, you guys are high school kids. You know what to do. Just get up there and kiss. And she said it was the most awkward, uncomfortable, horrible thing she had ever done.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Right, because they gave her no direction. So I can see where it could be horrible. Now, the funny thing is, she said later she ended up dating that boy, and I think they are still together.
Which is quite funny.
Yeah, it is. But so anyway, I found that very interesting. I would love to hear from any of my local actor friends next week if they have run into any experiences either with intimacy coordinators, with having to kiss on set, with anything beyond kissing. Would you do nudity on set? I'd love to hear next week from some call-ins about that. I kind of find it funny that I'm the liberal one in this discussion. But that's the way it is sometimes. By the way, I know we've only got a few seconds left here, but if you can see me on Facebook, you'll see I'm holding up a binder here. It's got Foxglove candy on it. It's got my name on it. I actually use these all the time now. It's great. It holds my script in there. I don't remember who I got that tip from, but that is a great tip. I now always know where my script is. Before, I used to bring my script onto set and I would lose it all the time. So that's a great tip. It came from either Anna Stadler or Kylie Opsel or Lana Richards. I know it wasn't Nicholas because it was a girl. So anyway, I will see you next week. Looking forward to it. Thanks all.
WTAN, Clearwater,
FM 106.1,
WDCF, Dade City,
FM 102.3.
Listen.